Hello, everyone. Today we're going to talk about how you can study SFM to get an exemption in CA Final. So, the first question is whether you should go for coaching or do self study in this subject. So, again, it differs from individual to individual how much knowledge you have, prior knowledge you have about finance, whether you have taken any coaching for another relevant or related course, for example, CFA or anything. Then there's a lot of overlapping in that case, and in that case, you can probably avoid going for a coaching and rather do self study. On the other hand, if you don't have any prior knowledge, then I would still suggest to go for coaching as it saves a lot of time, plus it gives you some conceptual clarity also, because SFM is a very relevant subject for practical life as well. So I took coaching from Mayank Kothari sir. Then moving on, the materials to refer. So first is the faculty notes, that is the teacher from whomever you've taken coaching from. Then the ICS study material, it is quite well developed, and I would suggest that you can even probably solely base your entire studies on study material and pass your papers in RTPs, MTPs. That would be quite sufficient considering the amount of questions that have been recently added to the study material. Then the next question is when to study SFM. So, according to me, as SFM should be the first subject that you start your preparation with. So you should aim to get at least three coachings done in your first year of articleship, starting first with SFM. So I would suggest that the day you start your articleship, maybe after, or maybe a week or 10 days after you are adjusted in your work and everything, you should start your coaching right away, and it'll take around 2.5 months at max to complete your coaching. That should be your target. Moving on to how to study SFM. So the first segment is when you actually take the coachings. Again, be very regular with your classes. Try to watch at least 3 hours or like 3 to 5 hours of lectures every day, and try and watch two lectures, that is 6 hours on weekends. And also, when you are watching the lectures, try and revise whatever you watch that day during that day only, because it takes hardly 10-15 minutes to revise the 3 hours lectures. But otherwise, if you pile it up for the weekend, or let's say after 10 days, if you plan to revise it, then it'll take quite a lot of time. Then coaching, you should, as I told earlier, that try to watch at least 1.5 lectures every day, so that you'll be able to complete your SFM coaching in 2 or maximum 2.5 months. So this I'm telling you from the perspective. So I took coaching from Mayank Kothari sir, so I was able to complete it in 2.5 months comfortably. Then complete your notes, very important. This goes for all the subjects. Make your notes very comprehensive, so that you know that this is the material that you have to refer to from now on, and you do not have to jump from book to book after every revision. Then cross numbering, something that people don't usually do, is you should always mention the page number of the book, the where the question is in your notebook. And similarly, in the book, you should mention the page number of the notebook where you have actually solved that question, which will enable you to navigate in a better way further when you want to refer to any question. Then tally everything with study material, very important. So most of the times now you'll see that the study material has been revised. There will be a lot of overlapping in questions. So I would suggest make study material your base for both theory and practical. Theory though especially you should always do from study material only. It is very well given there, and it is given in a very comprehensive and concise manner also. So you can easily refer for theory. You should always go for the study material. And for practical questions, also refer the solutions that are given in the study material, and any additional questions that your faculty might have covered. Mark only those questions in your notes and go through them from your notes. Otherwise, stick to the study material. Then daily revision I've already covered, and then resolve all your queries on a real time basis. Don't pile it up. Get it resolved as soon as possible with your coaching itself. Then coming to the first revision, so if I take it as that you SFM is the first subject that you're doing, then whenever you start with your second subject ka coaching, try and revising SFM alongside, because initially you don't have many subjects to handle. So you can easily, revise at that time. And SFM, if you revise like twice or thrice, you'll have a good hang of the subject, and then you can probably keep it aside and focus on other subjects. So it is better that initially only you revise it, so that you have some confidence to keep it aside. So read class notes during your first revisions, like whatever you have done, so that you have a conceptual clarity, and mark everything that whatever you'll have to come back to. So mark everything down that this is important, this is not, so that you don't waste time reading it over and over again every time. Then practice questions. So if you're a person who learns by writing, so practice a lot of questions during your first revision only, so that you don't have to write it every time. and complete study material again. And categorize questions into ABC. This is very, very important. So A being the most important questions and C the least. So give every question a what do you say, a category, and probably make an index out of it if you have that much of a time, or just write it in front of the question only, so that after like 2 or 3 revisions you can probably refer to A and B category more, and when you're more comfortable with the C category, and one day prior to the exams you can only refer to the A category. So this is very important. Then make your theory notes. You can also make your own theory notes if you have a habit of doing that. But what I did was, I did theory from study material only, because as I told you, it is very good. Like it is given in a very good manner there. So I used to mark everything down. Like, for example, you don't have to learn as it is the entire line, right? You just have to pick the keywords and reproduce it in the paper. So you can do that too. Just mark everything down in the book, especially the all theory chapters. Like for example, the initial first introductory part of a chapter, then the startup finance and everything like that. You can probably mark it in study material itself and highlight there, and make your own little notes alongside as you're doing. Then duration of the first revision. So SFM is the, I would say, the subject that is the most concise, and it's not very vast. So you can easily revise SFM in the first revision in 15 days. So target that. Then from there on, you can keep on reducing the time. And coming to further revisions, how many revisions are enough? There is again no fixed answer to this. It depends upon you, what technique you have been following. So since you're a CA final student, you would know what best suits you, right? But for SFM, I guess good 3 4 revisions are good enough, and you'll start getting a hang of the subject. But if you still need more and you're a person who needs multiple revisions, start doing it from an earlier stage itself, because SFM will have the most time to revise, considering that it's the first subject that you do. Then duration of the revision. So the duration keeps on decreasing, like the number of days keeps on decreasing as you do more and more revisions. So try and aim that eventually, you do one chapter a day. So that will be able to complete SFM in a week or something. That too alongside other subjects also. It is that kind of subject. Reading versus the writing actually. So initially, yeah, probably if you learn by writing, that initially you can practice a lot of questions, like not a lot also, like try and practice one question of a particular category. So there's a category of questions in study material also. You'll find out that there are like 5 questions of one type only. They're only changing the values or something, and then in that case you can practice just one question of that category, right? Then make study material your base, very important, and do only the additional faculty questions that they have given. And then, having revised the subject once and taken the coachings, you'll be pretty comfortable with the subjects. And it is then that you can actually like go on to past year papers, RTPs, and MTPs. So you can practice them then. Again, highlight all the questions which are different. So the same questions you can probably skip. There's no point going through the same question again and again. But if there's an entirely new question, probably just write it down in your notes also, or in your book also, that from this attempt you have to refer to this question, so that again you don't have to scroll through a lot of pages, um, for which there's no need. Then strategy before exam, that is one day before the exam. Follow a top-down approach, very very important. Focus more attention on topics that have more weightage. So in SFM, it is almost the weightage is equally distributed. So there's nothing very important, nothing the least important. But there are definitely like chunks of chapters, for example, derivatives. Then there's forex, definitely portfolio and security valuation. So these are the major 4 buckets that you start with, and then there are the like relatively uh, smaller chapters. Focus on A and B category on that day only, and don't ignore theory, because in SFM theory there's a lot of theory that comes. So with every question there's 4 or 5 marks theory. So you cannot ignore theory, because yeah, it can get you marks also when you're not able to solve a practical question or something. So don't ignore theory. There are very less chapters that are all theoretical. There are hardly 3 4 chapters. So do that from study material only. Then read more, write few questions. So as you approach the exams, there's hardly a day when you have to revise the entire subject. So try, just read the question, try forming an answer in your head. Maybe just do some calculations on the calculator and see if you're going in the right direction, instead of writing and presenting everything very properly and wasting a lot of time in a single question only. Then utilize a day of your previous exam, very, very important. So some people, they just spend the entire day that will cover everything the next day. Please don't do that. Because on that day when you come back from the exam, you'll have the least stress because there's still an entire day you have to revise the subject. So don't waste that day. Then coming to the important topics. Yeah, so as I said earlier, also in SFM, it is not like, one particular topic carries 20% of the weightage or something, or like most of the weightage, majority of the weightage. It is not like that. It is almost the marks are equally distributed across the chapters because the syllabus is small. So, yeah, everything is important here. Don't skip anything. It is a very, very scoring subject. Focus on theory also. So, people often overlook theory and they focus just on practical. So almost around we get 20-25 marks of theory, which is like one fourth of the marks. So don't ignore theory. Then the important topics is forex, of course, as you all know, something that cannot be ignored. Then international financial management is a very small chapter. If you see, particularly from study material, there are hardly 5-6 questions. But those 5-6 questions, try and even practice them by hand, like write them down, because it is very difficult to solve them end to end, like with proper calculations and everything. There's so much calculations involved. So if even if you understand the flow of the question, sometimes the calculations take a lot of time. So international financial management is a very underrated chapter, I would say. Then derivatives, very important. The mutual funds also is very important. So it's a very small chapter, so people tend to overlook it. But don't do that, because these days there's been this trend that IC has been devising newer questions of mutual funds. So you can probably refer to the RTPs and MTPs for mutual funds. So I guess Mayank Kothari sir also have this compiler which my friends refer to. So I didn't, but my friends refer to those compiler, and they have all the past year papers, RTPs, MTPs, and study material questions, and that too solved as per ICI. So that is the review I got. So I guess it'll be helpful to you too. So yeah, thank you so much, guys. All the best for your exams. I hope you like the video. Do let me know if you have any queries, suggestions, or anything I can do to help you. Thank you for watching the video. Do like, share, and subscribe for more such videos.